My buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy. Wherever I go, he goes. My buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy. I'll teach him everything that I know. My buddy and me like to climb up a tree. My buddy and me, we're the best friends that could be. My buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy and me.
Good morning, everybody. It's your friend, your buddy, Buddy Hard Knocks, here, coming to you live and direct from the WMRK studios in Willamachi, Oklahoma. And guys, I do not, in fact, like to climb trees, but I do like to do podcasts. Unfortunately, my partner in crime, gorgeous, gifted, glib, Gordon Alamo, is out this week. He is now, we talked about it on the rodeo last week, he is summiting Mount Everest with the Sherpas, with a lack of oxygen to his already feeble brain. Guys, Gordon is now enjoying a much-needed vacation. So rather than torture you with an hour of yours truly, we decided to take a flashback, a blast from the past, if you will, from Rodeo's past. And this episode that we're about to bring you is from 2017, long time ago. We were freshly minted. We were new baby broadcasting deers with our all wet from our mother's secretions, and our hair was all matted and our legs were all wobbly. So we are bringing you the Wrestlemania 33 recap show from 2017, and we will be back next week with an all-new episode, but please enjoy this. A little word of caution, however, there's a couple of things that you might notice. One is that there is a frequent advertisements for the Wrestling Rodeo hotline. Do not call that. I do not know who currently has that number, but you may get some things that you did not bargain for should you call that number. So do not call that number. That's number one. Number two, wacky DJ sound effects. All right, this is in the era of extreme radio broadcasting, and we had a little bit of an issue with some post-production and some wacky DJ sound effects. Do not look for those on future Wrestling Rodeo episodes, but everything else is, as always, super entertaining, super informative, and just a delight. We are a delight to behold. Next week we will be back, as I mentioned, with an all-new episode, and we will have the Wrestlemania tree fully decorated. Gordon will be back. He will tell us about his trip to Mount Everest, and we will be locked and fully loaded as we get ready for WrestleMania. But until then, enjoy this rodeo redo, if you will, from 2017. It's WrestleMania 33 here on the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo, WMRK, Willamachi, Oklahoma. We will see you next week.
From the WMRK studios in Willamachi, Oklahoma, the Heartland Wrestling Radio Network presents the #1 rated AM radio professional wrestling broadcast in north central southeastern Oklahoma. Gifted Gordon Alamo, Buddy Hard Knocks, Turnbuckle Bronx, Turnbuckle Buddies, Cowboy Up. It's time for the Alamo and Knox Wrestling Rodeo.
Willamachi. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Come on in, sip aside the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo. I'm Gifted Gordon Alamo, alongside my tag team partner, Buddy Hard Knocks. Buddy, yeah. I'm tired.
It hurts. Every muscle hurts. I sprained something. I think I pulled a flexor muscle. A flexor in my pelvis. Pelvis flexor.
Your expedial radius muscle has got to be tweaked after what happened.
I hammered my flange is what happened.
It's so much wrestling.
Listen, I love wrestling. I love wrestling more than my children. I'm just going to say that right now.
Right.
Sometimes I don't even like my children. But here's the thing.
I don't like your children
It was like
either.
a marathon session with an alien woman who is very beautiful, but she does not possess the anatomical endurance of a human woman. So, you're on the spaceship, and it's just after a while, after 6 hours, like for the first 6 hours, it's great, but you're like, please, I just want to stop. But she's not done collecting your protein sample, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Does anybody know what I mean? Has anyone ever been abducted by aliens? No? Josh is shaking his head no.
Maybe. Josh looks puzzled.
Okay, it's a puzzling morning. Welcome to the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo.
We have this is just for the next, I feel like for the next 3 weeks, buddy, we're just going to be recapping.
It's so much.
We're just gonna be cooking pizza or pizza rolls in the oven. We're gonna be you're drinking your Lowenbrow, I'm drinking my root beer, and we're just gonna be reviewing everything because there's so much wrestling that happened this weekend. Because Wrestlemania 33 took over Orlando, Florida, as well as every other professional wrestling organization did. But we've got so much to talk about, and I want to say thank you for listening to everybody on WMRK in Willamachi, Oklahoma, on the Heartland Wrestling Radio Network. We appreciate your support as always, and all of our wonderful sponsors from Willamachi, Oklahoma. But we also want to thank you in the podcasting realm because we decided that for the first hour and so we're going to be diving into WrestleMania and NXT Takeover for our podcast edition this week.
Yeah, we're going to be jamming your ear holes filled with wrestling meat. We're going to be plugging up. If there's a hole, we're going to fill it with something WrestleMania related. And we're going to try and cram it all in, all 60 inches of it in right now within this first hour, for not just for the benefit of our listeners, Willamachi here, but also for the benefit of our listeners, our new listeners from all around the world. Welcome, Singapore.
Singapore just jumped on.
They're jumped on. I just saw the light. There's the light on our dashboard here on our computer. Just jumped on. There's a special Singapore colored light that just comes up. Boom, Singapore's on.
Singapore. Right
so
there.
Here's the thing. We come back from this first break. I'm gonna go get a waffle.
Wait.
Can I go get the waffle?
You can go get the waffle. You can actually leave the studio right now.
I'm leaving. Hold on. Let me put my headphones down.
But I will, fans, when we come back, but before we come back, I want to tell you about our hotline. If you want to call us, give us a call, 1-855-33-RODEO.
I need a waffle.
And we've been having trouble with the hotline this week. Can you give me 2 waffles? Give me 2. Give me 2. We've been having problems with the hotline this week, but if you can get through, please let us know by leaving us a voicemail. 1-855-33-RODEO. Rate, review, subscribe, and wherever you get your podcast.
Gordon, listen.
Tell a friend. What? Go ahead.
Listen, we have an emergency here. You're going to need to cut to the hard break. We are out of boysenberry syrup. We're out.
All right, guys. All right. Well, we got to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to launch into NXT Takeover and boysenberry syrup. You're listening to the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo right here on WMRK in Willamachi, Oklahoma. I felt like that first riff went on for him.
You're like, it's like having intercourse with an alien sex woman.
It's like this.
It's just like, oh, it's magic. I'm on a spaceship. Please stop. Your tail is hurting me.
Welcome back to the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo. It is 6:15 on the dot right here in Willamachi, Oklahoma, WMRK. And we are rolling. We are actually going to, we have a special guest coming on later in just a few minutes that we'll get to in a second. But there's so much news coming out of Orlando, Florida. It is Monday morning. The dust is settling. The hat is still in the middle of the ring. And we'll get to that in just a little bit. The hat and the gloves are still in the middle of the ring. The biggest news, though, I'd say coming out, and we're going to say that at the same time. So on the count of 3, I want you to say what you think the biggest news story coming out of Orlando, Florida was. All right, ready?
Yes, sir.
1, 2, 3.
Brutus Beefcakes nipples.
Getting married. Wait, what'd you say?
I said Brutus Beefcakes nipples. What did you say?
I said John Cena and Nikki Bella are getting married because that's
I'd
obvious.
rate that a number 2. I'd rate that a solid number 2.
That's the biggest story coming out this weekend. I mean, who would have seen that coming? That was
certainly like a who shot JR moment. I mean,
right? Like
I remember all the recaps we did last week. Do you recall us at all ever talking about that this could possibly lead at all in any way to a marriage proposal. They bamboozled us. They bamboozled the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo.
Left field.
I did not see it.
There was so much genuine emotion.
Oh, could it get any more genuine? It was so real. It was like it was happening to me. It was like John Cena was on his knee and he was saying, Uncle Buddy, because that's what he calls me. He said, Uncle Buddy, would you take off my jorts?
Buddy,
But I mean, it's not really a proposal. It's more of a
that was a demand.
Yeah,
that was a demand.
Take off Uncle Buddy, take off my jorts.
Right.
Like commanding.
But what do you do?
Powerful.
Once they're
like a panther.
Anyways, there was so much emotion in that, and buddy, you know I've struggled for years in love.
You struggled mightily. You're like Sisyphus, pushing the boulder of love uphill.
And I saw. And I saw so much real emotion there.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like two clowns just dancing around playing clown games.
That is the furthest thing.
Putting clown hats on and clown makeup on.
It was nothing like that.
It was nothing like that. It was nothing. It wasn't like a produced television segment that was void of any real emotion.
Really?
I spit on those that say that wasn't real love. That was genuine. Damn it.
It was real love.
Josh, could you delay that, please?
Yeah, he dumped it. Here's the thing. I would contend that is number 2, though, behind the real story, which is, let me take you back to Rancho Knox yesterday afternoon. So I'm sitting and I'm preparing, or Candy's preparing the famous Knox recipe, family recipe for guacamole. And she's putting it in all the things, the 57 secret spices. All right. She's getting it ready, and I'm getting all geared up. I am fully lubricated and ready for some hot
slip and slide action.
Some slip and slide WrestleMania action. And here's the thing. I'm watching the WWE Network, and my kids are gathered around. I'm clenching them tight, and we've been singing WrestleMania carols all morning, and the WrestleMania tree's all lit up, and little angel Roman Reigns is on the top, and I'm ready. And here, when I flip on the WWE Network, is, for some awful reason, a career retrospective of Brutus Beefcake. And I was like, what is this? A, I didn't know he was alive. B, I don't care. C, why are you showing this to me before WrestleMania? You're harshing my WrestleMania buzz, WWE. And so then it comes on, and fine, whatever. It's like, look at what he's doing now. He's hobbling around, and he's wearing girl jeans. That's fine. More power to him. But here's the part that I have problem with. Okay? They showed him when he was on the Edge and Christian show, and his little barber vest was open, and his man teats are flopping about. And here's the thing. His
tremendous
nipples,
shape.
Beautiful. No. His nipples are pierced. He is a 50-something-year-old man walking around with his nips pierced, and they were fully exposed, and I had to cover my child's eyes. I had to cover Joe Don's eyes because he was like, Daddy, why does that woman have pierced nipples?
And you didn't have an answer for her.
He said, no, yeah, he said, it's Joe Don. He was a man. He is a man. He's a man, baby. He was like, Daddy, why does Tina Turner have pierced nipples? And how do I explain to my son that Tina Turner got pierced nipples and used to be a barber, but isn't really? I mean, come on, guys. The hell was that? Sorry, I get emotional, but that was crazy.
I understand, but we're going to get to all the news, all the things that are coming out of WrestleMania 33 later in the second hour, even the biggest stories. We're going to break down right here on the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to blitzkrieg. We are going to blitzkrieg
Panzer Division Rodeo
through NXT TakeOver Orlando. Not only did we lock down picks last week, and if you didn't listen to that episode, go back, listen to that episode, then come back and listen to this and let us guide you through the Brody boot system. And we're going to go through this as quickly as humanly possible because we got so much news and action to jam into this first hour. So without further ado, let's lock in and give our Brody boot system to the NXT TakeOver card, with the first match being Sanity, Eric Young, Alexander Wolf, Killian Dane, and Nikki Cross taking on Ty Dillinger, Ruby Riott, Roderick Strong, and Cassius Ohno. What did you think of this match?
First of all, it was unfair because there was one more team member by getting rid of No Way Jose and including the tag team of the Chris Hero. You up the scales by one in favor of them. Secondly, I didn't care for this match at all, frankly. I thought it was a slapdash attempt to keep it short here. because we got a lot more to get to. I'm going to go ahead and give this 2.5 boots.
Okay, 2.5 boots. Now, what confused me at the beginning of this match is that Sanity came in looking like a bunch of starving raccoons.
They were very coony. They had that coony look about them.
Nikki Cross, especially being the most feverishly hungry one. And what I thought of is someone give this woman a hot pocket covered in Mrs. Dash.
Get it to her. She needs the flavor.
She needs the flavor of the most perfect seasoning in the world. And this segment, by the way, is brought to you by Mrs. Dash Seasoning. But I thought they all looked like a bunch of hungry raccoons. I didn't like this match. I'm going to give it 2 Brody boots. Moving on. Next match, the debuting Aleister Black taking on Andrade Cien Almas. Andrade has had some incredible matches lately. I'm going to start off this rating system. I thought this match could have gone longer. I just don't think he was prepared for the black magic. The crafter of all that is unholy with Aleister Black. I think Andrade was unprepared for this match. So Aleister Black did take home this match after the crowd seemed mostly distracted by maybe a beach ball or something in the crowd. Aleister Black defeats him. I'm going to say this was a 2.5 star match. This was not the most impressive debut that I've seen from a wrestler, especially somebody with the crafting ability of Aleister Black.
I turned off this match, got a couple Lowenbrows, and read old sermons from Charles Spurgeon.
All right, moving on. So the 0 Brody boots?
I don't even care. What was that? Why is Satanism creeping into every little cranny now of professional wrestling? Stop it. I just want to watch wrestling. I don't want to have my television hexed.
And it was almost hexed with Aleister Black on the screen. Next match was the Authors of Pain. Hakeem, the American Dream, or the African Dream. Razor with the bald guy, and they were taking on DIY of Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and the Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. I will start this off. This match was absolutely riveting. From bell to bell, I could not find a flaw with this match. That match was 4.5 solid, big, furry Brody boots. This was a fantastic match.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you here. This was, to me, we'll get into the matches in the whole entire weekend later. One of the best, if not the best match. Of course, Johnny Gargano was in it, so you can expect that. Johnny Gargano, listen, Vince, I know you're listening. You listen every week. Every week without fail. I know you do. I got my sources.
He sends us flowers.
He sends us flowers sometimes, and they're gladioluses, which
under the Gnome de Plume, Spectre Hexagon.
And Spectre, we know you're listening right here. And here's the thing: we appreciate the gladioluses. We know they're normally for funerals, but we know that you mean it in a romantic sense, and that's flattering. Here's the thing: you have the next John Cena in a little Italian package known as Johnny Gargano. Okay, you got the next Ricky Morton right there. That's your next Ricky Morton. Go get him. Okay, this is the next Ricky Morton. Anyways, this match was fabulous. DIY fabulous. Every team actually, even the Authors of Pain, turned it up for this one. They turned it up, and they tried to cripple people as they usually do, but it was a great match. Couldn't agree more. Bell to bell, 4.25 boots.
Wow, and you never get. I freely give the boots more than you do, but you're definitely more stingy. So for 4.25 is very high on the buddy system. So
by the way, we've locked it in. We were 100% on this card. Just saying.
Yeah, we absolutely were. And if you haven't listened, go back and listen to that. If you want to call us on the hotline, tell us that we're full of doo-doo. That's 1-855-33-RODEO. Next match, Asuka. By the way, if you didn't see the NXT tag team match, I can't speak highly enough. I could do a whole segment about that match and how good it was from start to finish and break down every point, but we don't got the time. Next match, Asuka taking on Ember Moon. Asuka picks up the win. Buddy, I have to say you were right again.
I was right. Here's the thing. I knew that train is on the track and is nobody getting in the way of it. Not even Ember Moon. It went about as I thought it was going to go. It was a hard fought match on both sides. Still, Ember Moon just isn't quite there with the experience. And Asuka strikes one today. The match wasn't as good as I was hoping. I'd give it a solid 3.5 boots, but overall a good effort by Ember Moon. She's just not there yet. I'm not sure anybody is, frankly.
Yeah, you hit this right on the head. I thought Asuka would be leaving NXT for the quote unquote greener pastures of Raw tonight, but it looks like the Asuka train is just picked up more momentum. Great match. I give it 3.25 Brody boots. I don't think this was as fantastic as those women could have done. I believe that the preparation on Ember, like you said, I wasn't on the side of Ember Moon. They could have done a lot better. 3.25 Brody boots. And that leads us to our main event. Bobby Roode defeated Shinsuke Nakamura.
We called it.
We called it. Bobby Roode retains against Shinsuke Nakamura, and I thought was a fantastic match. However, it felt that the game plans stayed the same from their previous match. It felt like I was rewatching a good match.
And is it ever gonna? Have we seen the best days of Shinsuke Nakamura? Is it over? Because it certainly looked like it to me. He brought nothing new to this match. He again came in half-hearted, kind of phoned it in. It is nothing of the Wrestle Kingdom Shinsuke Nakamura or the NJPW Nakamura. He's not there anymore. Whoever has replaced him is like Japanese Corey Feldman with a bad haircut. Shinsuke, we want you back. We were hoping you was going to show up this match, and you didn't. Rude dominated, I felt like, the entire match. Glad to see the champion retain, but Nakamura, get it together, buddy. Get it together.
Bobby Roode did retain. What do you give this match, Brody Boots status?
3. It's 3 square.
3 square for Buddy Hard Knocks. I'm going to give it 3.25 again. Like I said, it was a solid, good match, but it felt like I had seen it before. And I think these guys need, Shinsuke needs to change up his game plan, needs a change of scenery maybe. And maybe heading to Raw is the best thing for him at this point in his career. And with that, we have to go to a break. And when we come back, we're going to start trudging through the muddy waters that was WrestleMania 33. Please come back. Tell your friends it's the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo. You're listening to WMRK in Willamachi, Oklahoma.
Are you tired of waiting for your favorite movies to come on HBO? Can't find anything to watch on the big networks? Then drive on over to Video Adventure. At Video Adventure, we have Willamachi's largest selection of VHS, beta, and laserdisc titles. Our hostile staff of overweight shut-ins and snarky neckbeards will help you find whatever mainstream garbage you want, while secretly judging your pedestrian taste and unwishing death upon your ill-behaved children. If you're looking for something a little more spicy, or just want something to fill up the vast emptiness of your suburban life, take a hot walk behind our red doors of pleasure, with over 20,000 adult titles. Just to know that it will never be enough, and the toxic shame will eventually consume you. At Video Adventure, our customers come second, right behind our need to make a profit. Video Adventure, at the corner of Goodish and Main, where entertainment is always an adventure.
I feel it, Gordon. I'm getting some of that fire back. I feel the fire down below. I'm not talking about Steven Seagal or Michael Caine. I am. Welcome back to the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo. My name is Buddy Hard Knocks. With me, Double G, Gifted Gordon Alamo. In case you just joined us, we're trying to pick out the chiggers from WrestleMania. We've been
and they're biting.
They're biting, man. We chomping through the weeds of WrestleMania. And, we're up to our hanging parts down there in chiggers. We're picking them out. We're bleeding all over the place. Thanks for joining us while we do this. It's been a long 24 hours. I'm going to be honest with you. I ain't slept. I just stayed up. I was so buzzed, adrift on wrestling hormones after watching WrestleMania. I didn't even go to sleep. I just stayed up all night and took off all my clothes, and I went skyclad. And I said hello to Brother Wolf and Sister Moon, as per my Native American Choctaw heritage. I did my thing. I did a spirit dance. Here we are talking about WrestleMania, and there's so many angles that we could break this down.
I'm okay. So I'm looking at this card.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a good place to start, but I keep coming back.
I need some majestic flute music. Josh, do we have... Listen, by the way, real quick, it's a transgression. It's not a transgression. A side note, a sidebar. last week I do recall us requesting sound effects. And when I went back and listened to the
Did
replay,
not deliver.
no sound effects. So Josh, first of all, I want a mystical Native American flute. Okay, that's number one.
In
Second,
5, 4,
count it in.
3.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is. You hear it? And the eagles crying. I want some tearful eagles crying. And here's what else I want. I want some sound effects throughout this whole episode. I want you to surprise me. I want you to get creative, right? That's why we paid you $7.13 an hour. Okay?
Hey, buddy,
Yes.
you're not supposed to say how much we pay him.
I don't care. Listen, it's WrestleMania. It's post-mania, all right?
And we're manic.
We're manic.
We
We're
are
crazy.
manic. And then the next step is depressive.
Okay, that's coming. Well, let's
That's
talk. We'll
coming
talk about some parts of this
Because
card.
that's actually, I didn't even realize it, but that's actually a good segue. So let me just throw this out there. I'm going to say this about the whole card in general before we start breaking it down, giving it our patent Brody boot rating system. By match number, but after one of the big news stories, which we'll get to in a second, which was that tag team ladder match, I felt that this was going good. You know, I felt like it was a Friday night. I'm cruising in my Javelin. You know, I've got the wind blowing through my hair.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, I've got a pretty woman on my arm. Things are going right. I felt that this was like that night. You know, I just eaten Zumas. You know, we're getting ready to head to Firebase. Thank you, Firebase, for being such a great sponsor.
Thank you so much.
We're getting ready to pick up something real good, something real tasty,
Special. Real special.
real special. And then my car crashed.
Mhm.
And I wrapped it around a tree. She's bleeding from the ears. I have to hide the body in a swamp and hope that alligators eat it.
That's what you got to do in that situation.
Because it just kind of fell apart. It kind of fell apart. And to me, that's what WrestleMania was. It was a good night out. And then the longer it went on,
it ended with your girlfriend, your consort, your concubine being eaten by alligators.
and it just turned into a murder mystery.
Yeah,
You know, and then you got
like
the police
so
knock
many
at your door.
episodes of our lives always turn into murder mysteries, and I have no idea why people keep dying around us.
Didn't do it.
We didn't do it.
If the glove didn't fit,
Don't acquit.
Don't
Alamo. I mean, wait, no, do it. Do acquit.
acquit me.
Acquit us.
Anyways, but that's how I felt the whole card went in general. So so let's talk about the first half of the show, and that's what we'll stay focused on for the time being. So the first match had the Cruiserweight Championship, although that was on the pre-show. Mojo Rawley winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Dean Ambrose taking on Baron Corbin. AJ Styles taking on Shane McMahon. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, which was not the match that I thought it was going to be, but it was a great match, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. And then you had the Raw Women's Championship and the return of the Hardy Boys. Out of all those segments that I just mentioned, out of all those matches, what to you stood out the most? The first half of the show.
Oh man, it's hard to pick. Obviously, to me, the highlight of the entire show, and possibly not even speaking matches here, would have to be the return of the Hardy Boys. I think everybody would have to agree about that. At that point, let me take you back to what I was doing at that point. I was falling asleep. I had a little bit of oh my gosh, what was that? I had a little bit of a bathroom mishap where I had zipped my penis up in my zipper, and I had gotten some of the skin into the zipper teeth, and I was trying to pick it out, and I was screaming.
It sounds painful.
Yes, it was. And then the Hardy Boys came out while I was wrestling my manhood out of the teeth of the zipper, and I stood up without even fixing the problem and began screaming in a new, exciting way because I was so excited. And it was it was a good moment. It was a WrestleMania moment with my bleeding manhood in my zipper, screaming at the television because the Hardy Boys were back finally.
So so let's talk about that match. What do you give that match overall as far as Brody Boots goes? The Hardy Boys walked out with the Raw Tag Team Championship. What did you think of that match?
The match was great, and to me, you might disagree here. To me, that was the match of the entire WrestleMania card for me. And I thought it was a great match. And I'm about to sneeze.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that wasn't a sound effect. That was really my nose.
Could you, Josh, in 5, 4.
Native American flutes.
Well, no. I wanted actually a sound of an explosion. So when you go back and edit this, please put in an explosion after Gordon or Buddy sneezes. Thank you.
And so,
in 5.
Yeah, no, do it.
Okay, good.
Okay, good. Perfect. Here's the thing. Match of the evening for me was that match. But I'll tell you why. The long and the short of it is it was fun. WrestleMania,
I absolutely agree.
Overall has ceased to be fun. WrestleMania now is like an arduous trip, like where you're just like, gosh, I just want to get out of this pool and my skin's all wrinkly and my nuts hurt and my eyes are burning from all the chlorine.
And no matter how much you push her down in the swamp, the alligators just
will not eat her. Listen, eat her. All right, you're an alligator. That's your job. I don't need you sniffing around the body all the time.
Get rid of my evidence.
Get rid of it. Here's the thing. I feel like
just God.
Yeah, well, I feel like it could have been a much better show overall because it's not fun. And the match that match was fun. I enjoyed watching it. I forgot about my bleeding penis.
So Brody boots. Let's give it a Brody boot.
3.3. A third of a boot.
A third of a boot. So what would constitute a third of a boot?
I think it would be like a moccasin, like a Brody and then here's where I put the flutes in. A Brody moccasin.
In 5.
Count it off for him, Gordon.
5, 4.
And there it is. There it is. Yeah, that was the ramp up. You know what you're doing. Biz talk. If Casey Kasem doesn't do that, here's the thing. It was good.
So if you're saying that was the best match on WrestleMania, that means no other match that we will review right now will obtain a Brody boot more than 3 1/3.
Correct.
Wow. So I'm going to slightly disagree with you there in both rating for this match and also that I don't believe that was the best match on the card. However, the Hardy Boys coming back and really sticking it to the All-Seeing Owl, I see trouble.
Well, there ain't no trouble there. They got lawyers.
When you go back and you make that owl mad, and you can go back and listen to our show about the All-Seeing Owl. When you make that owl mad, I'm not saying that they're going to stick any lawyers on him, but the owl knows all. So just let's leave it at that. I give that match 3.25 Brody boots. I think that was a fun match. I think it was a good. I was not surprised to see the Hardy Boys at WrestleMania. Perhaps a little surprised to see him in this match. But what I was most surprised about is them taking home the Raw Tag Team titles. Impressive match. My match of the night did happen in the first half of the card as well, but it was a different match. I actually really enjoyed the AJ Styles Shane McMahon match.
It was actually pretty good. I agree with you there.
Now, did they revert to the only way perhaps that Shane McMahon knows how to wrestle? Absolutely. Which is that high-flying, high-risk style. They're using the trash cans, chairs, tables, all that jazz, which AJ Styles doesn't need because he is the greatest pound for pound professional wrestler on God's green earth. However, the first half of that match where they were actually engaging in a pure wrestling match, I believe Shane McMahon was well trained for this match. I believe that he threw everything at AJ Styles that he could. And aside from the parlor tricks, he came this close to beating AJ Styles. Hats off to Shane McMahon for this match. I give this match 3.5 Brody boots. This was a good match. And it was a very, very good way to set the tone for the show. And I was excited for the rest of the show after seeing this match.
It was a good match. I'll agree with you. And if you listen to all the so-called professional pundits, this was the match that nobody was looking forward to. And yet
I wasn't.
No, I wasn't either. I wasn't either. But it did deliver. Shane put everything he had into winning this match. Came up a little bit short. I'd go a little bit lower than you. I felt like, it still wasn't. Was it a better match than I thought? Yes. Was it still? Did I ever feel at any point that AJ Styles was going to lose the match? No. So I'd go 3 on that one.
Okay, so let's talk about Kevin Owens taking on Chris Jericho. Now, last time, if you're listening to the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo, I said that this was going to be the match of the night. And I am sitting here as a changed man. And I will tell everybody listening at home, I was wrong. This was not the best match of the night. As I just said, I believe it was AJ Styles and Shane McMahon. However, I believe this match did accomplish its goal. And that goal was Kevin Owens taking home the United States Heavyweight Championship, beating his best friend, Chris Jericho. And I felt the emotion. I got the emotion that I wanted out of two former best friends going toe-to-toe in the squared circle. I felt like there was a beef, a part of a beef that was settled. Do I think it's the end of this feud? No, I do not. However, the only thing I did not like about it was, and I know wrestling is just a game of, any given 3 seconds, it can happen to anybody, but the way that the match ended was kind of awkward to me. Maybe Chris Jericho was injured after that power bomb on the apron, so I'm a little concerned about that because the match ended abruptly. But other than that, I thought it was a decent match. Three Brody boots for me.
Yeah, I'd go with you there. I thought it was okay. It didn't do much for me. Wasn't really looking forward to it going in. But it was an all right match. Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, neither one of them to me are, top tier athletes, but they put on a good show. They did what they did. I still feel like I was pretty correct in my assessment in our prediction show. You can go back and listen to that. But yeah, I'd go with you on the 3 square Brody Boots there.
And the next match that I want to talk about that came out of that first segment was Bayley retaining her belt. And once again, I was wrong. You were right. Bayley, once again, retaining her championship against Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax, and Sasha Banks. This match for me was better than expected. If you go back and listen to the previous episode, I said this match was going to be a crap fest. It actually was not a crap fest. These women worked really, really, really hard. They did the best they could to try to take out Nia Jax first so it could leave them 3. They recognized the threat that is Nia Jax, and they tried to take her out early, which they accomplished. I really enjoyed this match. This match surprised me. Was it the best match in the world? No. 2.75 Brody Boots. I thought it was a hell of an effort by all the women.
They did a really good job here. There was a noticeable absence, though. If you'll go back to our last week's show, our last week's podcast, rather. Here's the thing: no Mrs. Dash.
No, absolutely none.
And then when that occurred, we lost flavor. The flavor meter went down.
Flavor Country left, and we were left behind.
And we were bereft of flavor.
We were like that book. We were left behind.
We were left behind in the flavor rapture.
Flavor rapture with no Mrs. Dash.
No Mrs. Dash. But here's the thing: good match, good showing by all the women. Bayley came out on top, but I do not think that you have seen the end of Charlotte Flair by any stretch of the imagination. Buddy Hard Knocks predicts it right here, right now. First time ever. She will be the first female to main event a WrestleMania. Take it to the bank.
Wow. Big words. And on those big words, I am getting told by our producer and by Rich. Josh and Rich are both signaling to me that we have a guest on the phone when we come back right here on the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo. Stay tuned to WMRK in Willamachi, Oklahoma. We'll be right back.
Sunday at the Willamachi Battleplex. Coonskin Productions presents the 17th annual Willamachi, the Knife and Exotic Animal Swap Meet, featuring 3,200 booths of guns, knives, and homemade explosives, historically inaccurate war memorabilia, highly venomous sea snakes, angry chimpanzees, and oversized diapers. The world's largest collection of presidential toilet seats, North Korean fireworks, deep-fried animal parts on a variety of skewers, 12 ponies suffering from heat stroke for the kids, and for the first time ever, Tractorsaurus Sex makes his Battleplex debut. Come see the only anatomically correct tractor monster in Oklahoma shoot 165 feet of pure blue flame from every orifice. The 17th annual Willamachi Gun, Knife, and Exotic Animal Swap Meet at the Willamachi Battleplex. Don't you dare miss it.
Welcome back to the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo. Hey, we're talking about WrestleMania, and Josh has signaled to us, producer Josh, board op Josh, producer Rich, those dudes over there signaled to us, on the phone with us right now. We have a special caller. Caller, go ahead.
Oh, no.
And it's me. Is this the
Hey,
Monarch?
Oh, no.
Hey,
not this
Marty,
guy.
how's it going?
Oh man, you know, I've been I made it, man. I made it. You know, I'm in, man.
You're definitely in. We can feel you all over the place. Hey, I heard you had maybe not the most successful outing at the Janela Spring Break.
It didn't go well.
Is this the rodeo?
It's the rodeo.
Hey, man.
It is the
Rocker
man,
Dropper.
this is-
Rocker Dropper.
him
Hey,
off?
hey, this is Marty, man. I just want to call and say I made it. I
You
made
made
it in.
You're in.
I did good this weekend, and Rocker Dropper, baby.
Rocker
Woo!
Dropper, buddy. All right.
I partied all over Orlando, and
Yes,
I
you
made it, man. I made it all around the coast to coast, man.
Hey,
Me
Marty,
and
can I
Punky.
ask you a question?
Yeah,
Are
man.
you in?
Yeah, man.
Are you in?
Man, I made
Can you
it
spell?
in, man.
Are you in
He's talking
right now?
I'm knuckle deep, man. Knuckle deep, man.
Look at that, Rocker Dropper. Rocker Dropper.
All right, man. So I just want to call and say I love you guys. The Monox Rodeo is the place to be
Monox
on
kicking.
Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the best time I've ever had, man. And I really want to thank you. And I'll see you guys next time on the flip side with the Rocket Dropper.
Rocker Dropper. Thank you, Marty. Thank you so much for calling.
Wow.
There it was. I mean, Marty was he's hyped. He's happy to be on the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo.
Good gravy. I'm exhausted whenever I hear that guy.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
That's a lot. Holy moly. Well, welcome back to the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo after that call with our friend Marty there, checking in, making sure that he's
in.
He's in.
He's in.
Whatever
He
that
made it in.
means,
Oh,
he's in
yeah.
it to win it. So, maybe along with our other guy from Detroit, maybe we need to start banning people.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's that time. We've become big enough to where that's an issue now.
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming an issue. But what isn't an issue, or actually what was an issue, was the second half of WrestleMania. And we're going to dive into that right now. Now, outside of the second half of WrestleMania being a complete catastrophe where the alligator won't eat your damn girlfriend.
Right. That's a catastrophe.
Because when your wife checks your text messages and there's one from your girlfriend
And
you
then
need
one
your
from the
girlfriend to go
alligator.
away,
Yeah.
and the damn alligator won't eat your girlfriend.
Just
You know
eat
what
her,
I mean?
would you? Just eat her.
What?
What's going on?
What? All right. So, John, so the segment that followed after this was the second half of the show, which was kind of a crapshoot. And I feel as it went on, it kind of got worse. And it wasn't started off well by the John Cena and Nikki Bella engagement after a terrible, terrible match with the Miz and Maurice. What did you think of this whole thing?
I just thought it was from beginning to end embarrassing. It's like, going to somebody's house and you see, their underwear on the floor when you're using the bathroom. And you're like, I didn't know that that's what that looked like, but I was hoping I never have to see that. And it's all dirty. It's like dirty underwear on the bathroom floor. That's what I thought. I didn't want to see it. Didn't want to know it existed. The match was not good. Didn't care who won. I got sloppy drunk during that match. And by the end of it, I just wanted it to be over. Didn't care for it. I'm not even going to rate it.
Yeah, I would give that one Brody boot. I did not like the match at all. To me, the match was actually highlighted by the fact that the crowd was really into the Miz's work. And I think the Miz is having the best year of his career. So, which isn't saying much because, the Miz has had some pretty doldrum years. But the Miz is on a hot streak. I think he needs to get out of this feud as soon as possible. Make sure that his wife goes back to TV land. And let's just move on with our lives. Next match, Seth Rollins taking on Triple H. Seth Rollins actually defeated Triple H after the vivacious and lovely Stephanie McMahon took a nasty spill through the table. Seth Rollins lands the pedigree. This match was very long. And I from what I've read from the IWC, excuse me, the Internet Wrestling Community, they seem to think that this match was fantastic. I share a completely different point of view. I thought this match was.
Wait. Let's go back just a second here. Who are you talking about?
So there's a group of wrestling fans out there. There are some of the people that listen to the 7 other podcasts about wrestling that
I'm
are
with
out
you.
there. And they have a very high opinion of themselves and what they think of professional wrestling.
Oh, okay. All right.
So they thought this match was good. I did not. I give this match 2.75 Brody boots. I was expecting a lot more from this unsanctioned match between Triple H and Seth Rollins. I did not feel like these two hated each other. As a matter of fact, it felt like they could have gone out for a cup of coffee afterwards.
Yeah, and what's with
I just
the
didn't feel
unsanctioned match?
the tension.
What's with an unsanctioned match that's sanctioned? It's
Correct.
an unsanctioned match that is thereby sanctioned by being in WrestleMania.
That's correct.
So unsanctioned by who? The WWE? Because it was clearly sanctioned because it was on the card.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Your father set a great example for promoting unsanctioned matches in WCW, Willamachi Championship Wrestling, because he would actually turn off all the lights, send the production crew home, and there would be a singular solitary light on above the ring, and the guys would fight.
Yeah, in the dark.
Almost in the dark.
Yeah,
right.
in the dark, and nobody was there.
Right.
And we just came in the next morning. There was blood everywhere. We didn't know who won or lost.
That's right. And there was one camera rolling, so we would have recorded proof of what went down. But you're absolutely right. That was not a great example of an unsanctioned match.
And here's one of the goofy things I don't understand. It's an unsanctioned match, but, so it's all bets are off, but it's sanctioned. But then there's a sledgehammer. But no, like, if you got the sledgehammer, Club Seth with the sledgehammer. Why are you using, I got this pair of barbecue tongs. What could I do with it? Well, I could, chop at my wiener just a little bit with them. Like, roll over the whole hot dog. Why are you going to have a sledgehammer and then just tap them gently with the stick end of it? Makes no sense.
Makes no sense. And you know what it harkens back to? It feeds into that whole crackpot idea that pro wrestling is fixed.
I can't believe it. It's just like maybe it has something to do with the IWC folks you were talking about, the juggies or whatever.
Yeah, it just gave our sport a bad name. Did not like that match, but I did like the athleticism of Seth Rollins. That's why I gave it a kind of a higher 2.75. What about for you? How many Brody boots would you give that one?
I would give 2.5, and then Stephanie going through table, I would give 3. I thought her versus the table was a compelling matchup. The table really brought the athleticism. Did not have the amount of midnight workouts that Stephanie's had, but really still brought it and ended up winning the match. I give the table versus Stephanie McMahon 3 Brody boots.
You know it's not a good sign for the match when the only thing I can really remember from the match outside of Seth Rollins and his giant inflatable knee pad that he was wearing on his injured knee, which he probably shouldn't have been wrestling, was the way Stephanie and Triple H looked riding that tricycle.
It was so silly.
Down to the ring.
It's so silly.
Because quite frankly, I felt like I was watching my parents riding a tricycle wearing leather. I was like, Mom, Dad, get off that tricycle.
It's embarrassing. The other kids will see
you.
You
look ridiculous.
You said you're just going to drop me off at the bus stop, and here you are at the front gate, and you're telling me to get out of the car, and everybody's like, are those your parents? And you're like, nah, it's just Triple H and Stephanie, and they're got their leather, Dog the Bounty Hunter get-ups on, and it was horrible. That was horrible and embarrassing. And they're listening to Motorhead. Look, kids of the future, we're really into Motorhead.
Yeah, I felt like it was the beginning of a really bad remake of the heavy metal cartoon.
It's terrible.
It was absolutely terrible. Next match, Randy Orton defeated Bray Wyatt.
Would you really call it that?
Not only one of the most lackluster performances I've ever seen from Bray Wyatt.
Uh-huh.
I felt that his arsenal of moves, his training was all trying to be cerebral. It did not work. Do I even need to talk about the projections?
Yeah, here's the thing. I was so drunk, I thought I was having hallucinations at this point. I thought I was having some kind of like DT, like, holy crap, my liver was exploding, and, I was seeing the birth of the cosmos from the inside or something. Here's the thing, though. How did... And maybe you can answer this question for me. If Randy Orton's on the mat and he's looking up and he's like, I've just felt the full force of Bray Wyatt's offense, and out comes Bray Wyatt's magical projector and it's maggots or whatever, how does Randy Orton know that there's maggots in the mat? Because his perspective is he's laying on the floor looking up. You just see a bright light. So if it... All right, so I'd give this match a good whole 2.5 Brody Boots. Bray Wyatt, not his most successful endeavor. Randy Orton, my wife Candy was really excited because she finally saw his teeth. Because we have never, ever in the entire time we've been watching professional wrestling seen Randy Orton's teeth. Those may have been a projection of Bray Wyatt, like he projected teeth into Randy Orton's mouth. I don't know, but they were there for a brief moment. We actually framed it and like blew it up on our bedroom wall when we made love later.
The whole match,
or maybe Bray Wyatt blew it up on our bed. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Well, he is a magic man. He is
and a heck of a cinematographer.
I give this match 2.5. This match was underwhelming to say the least. It was short. It was not sweet. Randy Orton did defeat Bray Wyatt. His training was better. His cardio was better. But this was not a great match for either competitor. And I've seen Chihuahuas wrestle better on the local Mexican channel. Next match was Brock Lesnar taking on Goldberg in what we predicted would be the shortest match of the night, and indeed it was. Goldberg's prostate, not good. Not good.
It was a little swollen, you could tell.
You could tell.
He's hobbling a little bit.
You could tell the stream wasn't right. You could tell the stream wasn't right. And that led to his downfall. Brock Lesnar thankfully has the Universal Championship back around his ample waist. I think this was not a good match again. This was 2 Brody Boots for me. Brock Lesnar, although I do like seeing Brock Lesnar be the champion again, but this was as expected and as underwhelming as I expected.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. You know, you don't ever go into, a bad movie, a popcorn movie going, oh, it's Benji the Return. This is going to change my life. No, you're just expecting a dog to get lost in the woods and have a bunch of misadventures and he finds his way home, right? It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was Brock Lesnar really beating the hell out of Bill Goldberg. Bill Goldberg and showed up for a brief second. He lost all sense of time and space trying to put oxygen back into his lungs about 35 seconds into the match. It was just not a good match, and less said about it the better. I say two boots.
Next match, I don't even think we should talk about, but for some reason, this match was the lead into the main event of the evening. Naomi won her championship back, I guess, from Alexa Bliss in the SmackDown 6-pack challenge for the women's championship. This match was 5 minutes of torture. Mm-hmm. I wish actually I could have put all of them in a swamp and
so that alligators not eat them.
Yeah, and have the alligators dance around them because apparently they get fed all the time.
Stupid gators. Yeah, I'll agree with you
not
too.
Good. 1.5 Brody Boots for me.
Yeah, I go with the same rate. I go with 1. I think you're being generous with that 0.5. Terrible match, hard to watch. What's with Naomi not being able to wrestle? What's with that? Because she can't. I know
we'll try to answer that question and much more, and we'll wrap this whole show up when we get back here on the Alamo Knox Wrestling and Rodeo. You're listening to WMRK in Willamachi, Oklahoma. It is now 6:50 a.m.
Hey dudes and dudettes, Chaz Worthington here to let you know that although summer hasn't ravaged our souls with her piercing gaze yet, doesn't mean you can't come on down to Willamachi's #1 water slide and family fun park, surf and turf and stuff. Although it's cold outside, the action is white hot inside because of our go-karts and our mini go-karts, our skee ball and our mini corn dogs, mini pretzel bites and mini golf with mini pizzas and mini ponies, mini cocktails. And for all you daredevils out there, don't forget about our uncalibrated batting cages. Test your reflexes as baseballs get hurled at your head at a whopping 120 miles an hour. Whoa! Talk about a close call. Right off the I-45, it's surf and turf and stuff. Tell them Chaz sent you and get 10 free tokens. Later, brochachos, and remember to shred the gnar!
Sick of February. I'll tell you that.
You know, that is the perfect song. Welcome back to the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo. Here's the thing. That was a perfect song because it's about to break down the erotically charged atmosphere that we're about to go into. And that was the encounter between Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and The Undertaker.
Welcome back to WMRK. I am tired. This just talking about the last half of this card has really zapped the energy for me, but we'll try to bring it back because Roman Reigns took on The Undertaker in WrestleMania 33's main event. This match was 2 Brody boots. This was 23 minutes of an attempt. And I don't know any other way to say it other than that. It was an attempt at...
Here's the thing. It was, in all my years of watching professional wrestling and participating in professional wrestling and being involved with the sport of professional wrestling, one of the hardest matches I've ever had to watch. And most people, we talked about in the studio today before we went on the air, most people, it was like, oh, it was hard to watch The Undertaker retire. It was hard to watch The Undertaker, go out, and Roman Reigns be the one to retire. And for me, it was on a contest level. All of that other stuff's true, but on a contest level, it was hard to watch that match suck so bad. And The Undertaker had no business being in that ring from the get-go. It was patently obvious the way that this match was going to turn out. He had no business being in there. Nobody wants to remember, Jerry Lewis as a sad clown making weird, angry movies in France. Nobody wants to remember that. They will remember happy Jerry Lewis. Nobody wants to remember The Undertaker as the kind of doddering old man, who finds his way into a wrestling ring when he's on his way to TGI Fridays for the happy hour mudslide special. Nobody wants to remember that. They just want to remember classic Undertaker. I'm among them. Didn't want to watch it. Thought it was never going to end. And when it did, I was happy for it. The highlight of the match was our Oklahoma friend and colleague Jim Ross calling the match. He did a noble, inspiring job of trying to make that match interesting, but it wasn't. There was nothing noble about the way The Undertaker went out, and I was sad to have seen it.
God bless Jim Ross, first of all, and our prayers go out to Jim Ross and his entire family for the recent loss of his beloved wife, Jan. I thought this match was hard to watch. For all the reasons that Buddy stated. You stated it perfectly. I could not have envisioned that. Again, it was one of those situations where the best part of the match was watching the crowd say goodbye to perhaps one of the greatest professional wrestlers in the history of our fantastic sport. But I feel like that last match was a disservice to his entire career. I think they could have picked a better opponent for him to end it on. I don't care whose yard it is. I don't care what deed he signed over to Roman Reigns or what. I don't care, because I believe Roman Reigns was an ill-fitted opponent, although he was on top of our Mania tree this year, and he's an angel in some regards, I don't feel like he was a great opponent for The Undertaker, and I really... I will miss The Undertaker competing. Do I believe it is over for The Undertaker? 100%. And this match was an indication of that. But I believe that he should have gone out on a better note. And it was sad for me to see. And we like to joke around here on the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo, but to me, Undertaker deserved better than that. And it was a miserable way to close out the pay-per-view.
It left everybody with just like a bat. You were already bummed out that you had to watch Naomi stumble her way into a title, and then you're like, oh gosh, and I've been watching wrestling for 14 hours, so my eyes are burning and I'm tired and my wieners hurts a lot from the zipper fiasco, and I burned the top of my mouth with a molten,
and there was no Mrs. Dash anywhere,
and it was a bad evening, and you're like, oh gosh, and then you watch your grandpa murdered on television, and it's just like, great, thanks WrestleMania for taking all of my dreams and smashing them. Like, it was terrible. Bad way to leave the crowd just so like bummed out and sad. And, you know, Roman Reigns was even bummed out and he won the main event. He was skulking back like he just like farted inside somebody's handbag and closed the lid before they found out. Like, it was terrible to watch it. Like, he was like, oh, God, I just won WrestleMania. Well, I guess I'll see myself out now. Like, terrible. The whole terrible way to end the show.
Terrible way to end the show. I wish it would have ended differently for the Undertaker, but thank you, Undertaker, for all the years of service that you provided for us. I will say this in closing. We have a lot more to get to on the show here on WMRK in Willamachi, Oklahoma. For all of you listening in podcasting realm, the hotline is open 24 hours, 1-855-33-RODEO. And there's our go home cue, guys.
Yeah, and we are not going to leave our hat and gloves inside the ring. We are coming back on a motorcycle. We are fat. We have bad tattoos. And we're going to keep doing this until you
and I have weird
choke us
pecs
out.
Like Chris Jericho.
He has really weird pecs because he had a pec reduction. Hey, listen, review, subscribe, rate iTunes. Call us, 1-855-33-RODEO when the hotline gets back up. Email us. Like us on Facebook. Do whatever you want to do to us. You know, we're going to sit here and take it because we have nothing else to do with our lives.
My mouth is open and willing. Thank you for listening to WMRK. Thank you for listening to the podcasting realm. We'll see you next time on the Alamo Knox Wrestling Rodeo.
Rodeo.
Rody live.
Rodeo. Rodeo.
Rodeo.
Rodeo.